Steph Curry is going to be sidelined to close to a month with a shoulder injury. His shoulder injury does not require surgery, but the bad thing about this is the Warriors are 15-16 right now. They are 12-2 at home and 3-14 on the road. So, how will this affect the Warriors moving forward?
Where are they sitting in the West?
I believe that right now they're sitting. I can fact check that for you. They're sitting at the 11th
11.
spot.
Wow, that's a bit of a surprise. I thought they were at like 8 or some. I mean, like the good thing is like Jordan Poole. Whenever Steph Curry goes out, like in his absence, he always does a good job. But not having Steph Curry for a team that's already been like struggling in totality on the season, that's a big miss, man. Like if there's any time that Steph Curry would have gone out that would have been the worst time, it would have been now. Because the team were starting to pick up some steam. Felt like they're starting to string together some wins here and there, and then to lose like a top three player in the league and to lose your best player, it's a blow, man. And I mean, Jordan Poole always performs in Steph Curry's absence, but he's no replacement for Steph Curry. This offense just flourishes with Steph Curry, and I just feel like this is going to be a tricky couple of weeks, and close to a month. It all depends on what Klay Thompson can offer. Because we know when Steph Curry goes out, Jordan Poole, he's going to get his 24, 25 a night. But what are these other guys going to do? What is Klay Thompson going to do? Is he going to start stepping up again? He had a good couple of weeks, but is he going to return to that? Is he going to be the guy that's going to be the second to Jordan Poole? What about Wiggins? Is he going to start showing up and providing big help to his offense? Like, it really just depends on the contributors on this team. I feel like they can kind of just maybe float around the eighth, ninth seed without Steph Curry. I mean, they're still good enough to do that, but I just don't feel like they're gonna move up the standings without their star point guard.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I really do believe, like, we know what Jordan Poole is capable of when he steps in and replaces Steph Curry in the lineup. We know he can get his own bucket. He can perform not just as well, but he can perform to an extent where, he kind of replaces what Curry does. But can Clay step up? And Abby mentioned Wiggins. We haven't seen Wiggins since the start of December. He's been hurt as well. So now you're down Curry. Now you're down Wiggins. Now you got two new people stepping into the lineup. So, well, to me, it's going to be a very, very tough ride this next month and a half, and we'll see what Steve Kerr can cook up. Draymond doesn't really contribute anything to the offense. You're taking the only guy off the bench that contributes to the offense into the starting lineup. So we're gonna have to see what new guys step in and contribute, and see what Steve Kerr does with them. So we'll see what happens.
I think the way I'm thinking about this is it's not about what Jordan Poole can do. It's not about what Klay Thompson can do. It's not about what Andrew Wiggins can do or Draymond Green. Those guys are solidified. I know each and every night with Steph Curry or without Steph Curry, I know what Klay Thompson is going to bring. I know what Andrew Wiggins is going to bring to the table. Jordan Poole and Draymond Green, they all do their things well. Some more consistent than others. It's just the other guys on the team that I'm a little more worried about. This whole rotational thing that the Steve Kerr ended up fixing is now broken. Now he has to go figure out a new rotation. Now guys are going to have to figure out how to play with each other now. And it's going to be a lot of different lineups and a lot of different looks are going to be thrown out there on the fly pretty much because without Steph Curry, you got to learn how to play without him. And this can be a good thing for the Warriors. I'm not going to look at it in a bad perspective. I'm going to look at it in a good perspective. Like this could be a really good thing for the Warriors because if they're able to figure this thing out without Steph Curry and Steve Kerr is able to figure out the rotations and guys are able to step up in Steph's absence. Maybe guys like Moses Moody finally cracked the rotation again. And Jonathan Kuminga, I'm not going to lie, he's surprised me these last couple of weeks. Tonight against the Toronto Raptors, he didn't play so much, but against Indiana, and at home, there's a couple of games where he's kind of he's starting to figure out who he is on this team and who he is as a basketball player. He's not going to be a guy that's just going to sit corner and just chuck up a lot of threes. He's going to be an aggressor. He's going to get the ball and try to get downhill, and he's going to try to either make the bucket or if he misses, he's going to go for the tip or he's going up for the rebound and trying to kick out the shooters. He can hit a little bit of a couple of jump shots, a little jumper, here and there, but he's really been stepping up. So I got to give him a lot of credit. But it just comes down to the other guys they signed, like guys like Dante DiVincenzo, who stepped up against the Philadelphia 76ers, but just wasn't enough there. Jermichael Green, who stepped up in the fourth quarter versus the Indiana Pacers, but just wasn't enough. There's just a lot of players that have to step up in Steph's absence that aren't named Jordan Poole, just Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green, because those guys can be good, but the other guys I mentioned won't follow, and it won't be enough to win the game, because Draymond Green's not going to give you the scoring. He's going to give you the defense, and he's going to give you the facilitating. Jordan Poole's going to give you the scoring. Wiggins defense and shooting and scoring a little bit, and then of course you have Klay Thompson, who's just going to give you, at this point in his game, is pretty much scoring, and it's not a lot of defense and shooting, of course. But in order for them to win, to survive without Steph throughout this stretch, outside of the other guys stepping up in his absence, outside of those four guys, they have to be a team that's literally a lot better on defense. They average 117 points per game as a team on offense, but they give up 116 points per game to the opponents. That's just not going to work. You're not going to be able to win in the Western Conference when you're giving up the same amount of points as you're averaging. How are you supposed to win when you're giving up 116 points per game? Defense is something that Draymond Green prides himself on. The Warriors used to be good on that side of the ball. It was never an issue, but this entire season, it's been literally a concerning issue where their defensive rotations are late. Teams are starting to go off for 120, 130, 140 points per game, points in a game on this team. So outside of those guys stepping up in Steph's absence, they really have to lock down and lock in on the defensive side of the ball. Tonight, I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, not so much, because they gave up 110 points to the Raptors, but they did win. They did win this game by 16 points, but that's only 6 points shy from what their season average is. So they have to be better on that side of the ball, because how many nights are you gonna get where you're literally outscoring the team by like 10, 15 points, but and you're scoring 126, 130. It just doesn't happen a lot in the NBA. You got to be able to lock down and win defensive battles. And I feel like the Warriors, they might be able to do that, but without Steph, it's just going to be an interesting look. But I think Steve Kerr and these guys, they'll be able to rally these guys and get these guys ready to go, and hopefully keep the ship afloat until the captain comes back. And I think that's what they'll be able to do. So I'm not too concerned about the Warriors. I think they'll be all right. Guys always step up in Steph's absence, and once they figure this thing out without Steph, it's going to be even deadlier, because you're just inserting a top two player in the NBA into the lineup, and they'll be better with him.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now Lakes, now that's overkill.